It is here in this museum hall in the middle of Tel Aviv, close to the Mediterranean Sea, that the members of the People's Council and Executive and invited leaders gathered on Friday, May 14th, 1948. It is here that the ones present listened with emotion and excitement as David Ben-Gurion declared the creation of the State of Israel.
And based on what? Based on United Nations General Assembly resolution. We declare on the establishment of a Jewish state in Israel. Let's read that again. And based on United Nations General Assembly resolution, we declare on the establishment. Y'all can't see it, so Lawya. I can't see it because let me move this here. One second. We declare on the establishment of a Jewish state in Israel. Based on what? Based on the United Nations General Assembly. We're going to come back to that.
And so, just as God promised, a nation was born in a day.
Up here they go again. And just like that, a nation was born in a day. Alluding to what? Isaiah 66 and verse 8. So again, we see this perspective of their viewpoint on how that restoration or the establishment of the state of Israel was a fulfillment of biblical prophecy. Right? That's what they're using. That's how they see it. Right?
Since the declaration, Israel has not known real peace with her neighbors, but in every
now we gotta go back, because right after they stated that, they made a very poignant statement, a very important statement, which if you gloss over it, you'll miss the fact that there is a little bit of confusion in regards to these two statements, right? In one breath, you're saying what? Let's play it again.
Oh, just as God promised, a nation was born in a day.
So a nation was born in a day. Okay, great. That's not, according to what they understand, that's a fulfillment of Isaiah 66 and 8. But check this out.
Since the declaration, Israel has not...
But now, since the declaration, since this nation was born in one day,
not known born in a day. Since the declaration, Israel has not known real peace with her neighbors.
Israel has not known real peace with her neighbors. Since the nation was born in one day, Israel has not known peace with her. In fact, let me be clear. They said Israel has not known real peace with her neighbors. Now let's go to the book of Isaiah 66. Let's go to Isaiah 66. Let's read a little bit of Isaiah 66. Let's see what this says, right? Isaiah 66, verse number 7. Before she travailed, she brought forth. Before her pain came, she was delivered of a man-child. Who have heard such a thing? Now, we understand, according to prophecy, who this is speaking of, this man-child, and who's bringing forth, right? But we'll get there. Who have heard such a thing? Who have seen such things? Shall the earth be made to bring forth in one day? Or shall a nation be born at once? For as soon as Zion travailed, she brought forth her children. Shall I bring to the birth and not cause to bring forth, saith the Lord? Shall I cause to bring forth and shut the womb, saith thy God? Rejoice ye with Jerusalem, and be glad with her. Now this man just said out of his mouth that a nation was brought forth in one day, alluding to this, Isaiah 66:8. And then in the next breath says that since the state of Israel has been established, that she has not known peace with her neighbors. Now the Bible says, just a few verses down from verse number 8, it says, rejoice ye with Jerusalem. Rejoice ye with Jerusalem, and be glad with her, all ye that love her. Why aren't the nations rejoicing with Jerusalem? Why aren't the nations glad with Jerusalem? Why have they not known peace, or quote unquote real peace, since they have been established? The nations seem peeved, if you ask me. They don't seem glad. In fact, let me just underline glad to give this the real effect that it needs. Let me remove the underline. I can't remove the underline, Lawya. It's there. It's not going nowhere. I can't remove it. But I really want to highlight the terms rejoice and glad. Do it seem like the nations are rejoicing and that they're glad with the establishment of this state? Or does it seem like there's been conflict and warfare and back and forth ever since this thing has been established? It goes on to say, rejoice for joy with her. So the world is supposed to be rejoicing with them. The nations that they are dwelling with should be rejoicing with them. All ye that mourn for her, that ye may suck and be satisfied with the breast of her consolations. Meaning what? The nation is supposed to benefit when the Jews are restored. There will be a benefit to the world when the Jews are restored, that ye may milk out and be delighted with the abundance of her glory. Okay? For thus saith the Lord, behold, I will extend peace. Now keep in mind, he said they have not known real peace since she has been established. I will extend peace to her like a river, and the glory of the Gentiles like a flowing stream. Then shall ye suck, ye shall be borne upon her sides, and be dandled upon her knees. So again, there will be a benefit to the Gentiles, to the nations, when the Jews are revived and restored. Why does it seem like ever since this took place, there's been pain in the region? There's been hell on earth in the region. As one whom his mother comforteth, so will I comfort you, and ye shall be comforted in Jerusalem. Does it seem like any comfort is going on in Jerusalem right now? Does it look like any comfort is going on in Jerusalem as we speak? Okay. And when ye see this, in fact, let's see if there's any comfort going on in Jerusalem. And what I'm about to show is very disturbing. A warning, what you're about to see is very disturbing. Okay? That's a good idea. I'll highlight in a different color. That's a good idea. I'll do that in the future.
School turned shelter for displaced Palestinians in.
Now keep in mind, we just read rejoice with Jerusalem and be glad with her. I will extend peace to her like a river and the glory of the Gentiles like a flowing stream. Ye shall be comforted in Jerusalem. Okay, these are all things that are being said by the Most High, through the mouth of the prophet, in respect to what? The restoration and the revival of the Jews. Let's see if that's the reality. Again, what you're about to see is very disturbing. This is for educational purposes only. Fair use for educational purposes only.
Northern Gaza, Sama Mater cradles her son. 6-year-old Yusuf and his 4-year-old brother Amir have cerebral palsy and need a special diet. With little food in the past few months, their fragile little bodies have begun to shrink. Yusuf weighed 14 kilograms before the war. Now,
do this look peaceful? Does it look like these people are rejoicing? Does it look like they're happy for the restoration of the Jews?
he weighs 9 kilos. Amir, who weighed 9 kilograms, is less than 6 now.
These children have special feeding needs. Now there's no baby formula or diapers, and I can hardly find flour for them. Sugar, the main ingredient in their meals, is unavailable. Before the war, their health was excellent. They were provided with special meals, fruits, vegetables, and dairy products.
From tents to hospitals, images of starving and malnourished children are becoming more common in Gaza. Musab al-Dibs is among them. He's been at the Shifa hospital for about 2 months after a severe injury to his head when an Israeli airstrike struck his family's tent in May. The 14-year-old is largely paralyzed and severely malnourished because the facility no longer has supplies to feed him.
All right, that's enough. I can't. That's enough. All right, it says here, this is PBS. I mean, when you have children, that stuff like that is hard to watch when you have children. So that's just to give you some insight as to what's going on there, right? That's some insight as to what's going on. Don't look like any peace has been established in that region ever since they have been revived. This is from July 29th. This is from last month. Over 60,000 Palestinians have died in the Israel-Hamas war. And this title in itself is, I don't know if any of these children are members of Hamas. Okay, I don't know if any of their mothers are members of Hamas. Okay, these look like poor babies if you ask me. Right? But that's what they want to call it. They call it the Israel-Hamas war. Be my guest. Gaza's health ministry says. Over 60,000 Palestinians have been killed in the 21-month Israel-Hamas war. Okay, so we're talking about in just under 2 years, 60,000 people have been killed. Okay, 60,000 in just under 2 years. Now, you know, if the shoes were changed, I'm trying to find the best way to say this. If the shoes were on the other foot, what do you think the response would be right now? If the shoes were on the other foot, what do you think the outcry would be? Okay. Palestine would be seen as the new Nazi Germany. Okay. Speaking of which, as we mentioned earlier, this here, if we can acknowledge this as a catastrophe.
On May 9th, 1945, the horrors of the Holocaust were being publicly displayed.
If this is a horror, if this is horrible, if this is catastrophic,
to the entire world. On the heels of this catastrophe,
if this is a catastrophe, if this is horrific,
problem of Jewish homelessness, that of 2,000.
Is this not horrific? Is this not a catastrophe? Okay? Is this not a catastrophe? I'll let you all be the judge. Right? So, we don't necessarily need to get into this. We already kind of showed how Israel was established, okay? But check this out.
After this
Fair use for educational purposes only.
is a big moment. 4 p.m.
And as we always state, you know, we don't have a dog in the fight, as we always state. Okay, and I can show you why we don't have a dog in the fight. But at the same time, when you're dealing with children, you know, small babies, children suffering, you don't wish that on anybody. Okay, you don't wish that on anybody's children, right? So yes, we don't have a dog in the fight. In fact, let me show why. I'm not sure if any of you have seen this. And this is not to say that or justify that their children should suffer because of this, but you have to understand that, again, if the shoe was on the other foot, right? If it was us, I'm not sure if the nations would really give 2 cents of what's going on with us. And in fact, this is going to show instances of how certain sentiments are, how there's certain sentiments, anti-black sentiments in the Arab world, in specific in Palestine. And again, don't get this confused. I'm not saying that this is justification for babies having to starve. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that people may ask, well, why do we feel like we don't have a dog in the fight? Well, here's an example. Here's an example why. You see black babies in Palestine, black people in Palestine, and it's not an argument, okay, are they Israelites? Are they, what are they? That's not the point, okay? The point is that these are what the world would call people of color, black people in Israel, in Palestine, amongst the Arabs, the Palestinians.
جميل واسمر جميل واسمر بيتمخطر بيتمخطر شغل بالي بكم نظرة الشارع هذا.
So here it is. He has to sing. He's singing a song about black is beautiful. The same way, in many regards, we had to come up with songs like I'm Black and I'm Proud and Black is Beautiful, so on and so forth, to have to remind ourselves that through all of the oppression and all of the things that have been done against us, that no, our skin is not a curse. Our skin color is not some horrid thing that happened to us based upon the sin of Ham. Ham's curse, as they would teach us. Okay? That our skin, what God blessed us with, is beautiful. As it says in Songs of Solomon, I'm black but comely. Okay? So he's having to do the same thing over in Palestine. Let's see why.
كانوا بيقولوا عنه شارع السمر لأنه أكثر.
So they have a street called the Street of Blacks, because most people who lived here were like us, black people.
بيسكنوها اللي هم احنا خاصة يعني الناس السمر يعني.
كفتاة ذات.
As a girl with black skin living in the Gaza Strip,
بشرة سوداء عايشة في قطاع غزة. أنا تعرضت
I suffered from racism as a child until this day.
العنصرية منه أنا طفلة صغيرة وما زلت لهذه.
I suffer from racism because of reasons. This is a Palestinian citizen who also, because some people may say, well, you know, it's not about the color, it's about the religion. Well, she looks like a Muslim, if you ask me. She looks like a devout Muslim. Okay? So even though she's a devout Muslim, because of her skin color, she's stating, this is her testimony, not mine. Her testimony is that she suffers racism amongst the Palestinians.
لحظة بتعرض للعنصرية لأسباب أنا بصراحة.
I don't understand or know myself.
مش عارفة إيش هي.
كان زمان.
Now this guy says racism is an old thing. Now? No. No. Back in the day, yeah, maybe. But now, no, it's an old thing. Why does he feel this way? Maybe because he can, you know, he can afford himself a cup of coffee now. So maybe racism no longer exists because he can have his little coffee and his tea and you know, play the little banjo every now and then. So maybe things ain't so bad. Okay? But the fact that it was a thing in the past shows that it did exist. Okay?
مش موجود إطلاقا.
Doesn't exist. Black and white are one now.
Okay.
That's his experience. And check this man out. It says, let's not fool ourselves and say that racism is not an issue in Palestinian society. It exists today, but perhaps less than it was 25 or 50 years ago. So things have gotten better, but it still exists.
أقل مما كانت عليه قبل 25 سنة أو 50 سنة.
في فترة الطفولة.
Okay, and it goes on and on, but that's just an example I wanted to show, you know, why we don't have a dog in the fight. And on the other side, let's be fair. Let's be fair. Here's from the other side. The name of the video: Israeli chief rabbi compares black people to monkeys. The Sephardic chief rabbi of Israel. Yes, somebody said it. Caste system. Okay? Caste system. Right? When you're over in the Middle East, and we witnessed it, even though Egypt is not the Middle East, it's predominantly Arab. Okay? Egypt is in Africa, but it's predominantly Arab. We witnessed how they deal in the caste system. and how who they call the Nubians, who are really the original Egyptians to whom the land belongs, how they're treated. Okay? They treat those people horribly. Right? Don't matter if they're Muslim. Don't matter if they believe in Muhammad, peace be upon him. And they do all the, Muhammad Rasulullah. It don't matter what they do, what they say, what they follow. They still are mistreated. Okay? So yes, you're absolutely correct when you say a caste system. Okay? Now that's on one side. Now, to be fair, is not to absolve the other side, because the same thing exists on the other side. Now, this is a while back. This is from 7 years ago, and I think we covered this 7 years ago when it first came out. Now, let's get what he says here. Let me align this so y'all can see it the proper way. All right, there it is. We don't say a blessing. Check him out. We don't say a blessing for every Negro. He needs to be a Negro whose father and mother are white. Hold up. Hold up. Let me make sure I'm reading this correctly. Let's go back. Fair use for educational purposes only. Let me make sure I'm getting this right. We don't say a blessing upon every Negro. He needs to be a Negro whose father and mother are white. Now, my question is this. Maybe I'm getting this wrong. Maybe they're interpreting what he's saying wrong. If your father and your mother are white, how can you, in turn, be a Negro? I don't know. Maybe, let me finish out what he's saying. So maybe I'm missing something here. They had a monkey for a son. Okay, so I see what he's saying. What he's saying is that it's impossible for a Negro to be blessed. Right? Let's go back. I see what he's saying. This is his way of saying that a Negro cannot be blessed. Because surely a white man and a white woman cannot bring forth a Negro. And he's saying that that's the only circumstance by which a Negro can be blessed. If he has a white father and a white mother, which is an impossibility. And if that's an impossibility, then that means by process of elimination that it's impossible for a Negro to be blessed. Right? This ain't just some Tom, Dick, and Harry off the street. This is a chief rabbi. Okay? This is a chief religious authority making this statement. And notice y'all hear that word Cushi. Cushi, okay? That's their way of saying black or Negro. Cushi. Which we know the term Cush goes back to Ethiopian. Ethiopian meaning burnt faced. They had a monkey for a son. They had a son like that. Okay, so a Negro is essentially, in his eyes, a monkey. Okay, that can't be blessed. So there they say the ABL and everyone came and, condemned his statement. Now check this out. There are 38,000 African refugees, which for the most part, they all identify as Jews. right? So again, it leans into this, and we saw this on the other side as well. Those who are black, but they identify as Muslim when it comes to religion. It shows that even when you capitulate to their religious beliefs, still it's not good enough because you don't have the complexion for the connection. Okay? They don't care if you identify as a Muslim. They don't care if you identify as a Jew. In their eyes, you are subservient. Okay? Why? Because their religious text and their religious authority tells them so. It tells them that they have the right to treat you and see you as a subservient.
מתקפות חמורות של גורמי הטרור בסיני, והדבר הנורא ביותר, הצפה של מסתננים בלתי חוקיים.
All right, so that's it on that.
The Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that he used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy, you're invited.